Good morning and happy Sunday to all of the Chicago Cubs nation. I hope you all are having a fantastic start to your week. Welcome to today's edition of Cubs Daily, hosted by me, Stephen Ryan, presented by FanArch. The Cubs escaped yesterday with a 4-3 win over the Rockies. Yes, the lowly Rockies. It wasn't pretty, but a win is a win. We'll discuss the game a little bit here. I'm going to talk about Ian Happ a little more than I should. I did not realize how unlucky this man was. We'll talk about it some more there, and we'll preview the series finale as well. But before we get into all that, just want to give everyone a big thank you for continuing to show support to the channel. Continue to share your thoughts on this team, especially as the day-to-day grind goes. Today is the last day of August, so tomorrow, September call-ups will be in order, and the Cubs will be closer to postseason baseball before we know it. So, like I said, today the Cubs do win 4-3. They were never trailing in this game as far as I could remember. They took a 1-0 lead early in the first. The Rockies did come back and tie it. The Cubs did take a 4-1 lead. Then the Rockies battled back with 2 runs of their own, and what do you know? That was the final score. Javier Assad did really, really solid for himself, I have to admit. Again, it's not easy in Colorado. You don't ever like giving up runs. I totally understand that angle, as a fan. You never want to give up runs. But, again, he's our 5th starter. I don't have a lot of expectations of him. Again, 3 runs in 6 innings. It goes down as a quality start, ladies and gentlemen. That much I do know. He did the job that we needed from him. 7 hits. Again, he spread them out across. 1K, he walked a couple. But again, this Rockies team hits much better at home than on the road. I saw their averages. It's 268 at home as a team, which is really, really good. And then it's 208 on the road. So either way, the other team is just really out-hitting them generally because their pitching has not been good. And that was the case today. We faced, I believe, McCade Brown. His ERA was 9. He lowered it to 8.02, though, by the end of this one. But either way, it was a good hitting effort all around, especially by the top of the order, right? Suzuki had a couple hits. Ian Happ found the grass a few times. Tucker got a couple of hits. Michael Busch got a couple of hits. Again, this team can produce runs. You don't have to score 9 every game, but, again, you have to be able to produce enough to win ball games, and that is technically the case today. You just don't ever like doing it against maybe historically the worst team the league has ever seen. But Cubs win 4-3. Daniel Palencia, an essentially drama-free 9th inning. You hope to see him gain that confidence back as well. So the Cubs are in the midst of a stretch here. I believe it was 24 games in a row consecutively that we'd be facing teams that are under 500. We sit currently at 5-3 with 16 left to go in that stretch. Now, we still sit 6.5 back of the Brewers. I'm going to keep talking about the Brewers until we're officially eliminated. Winning the division is still a good goal to have in this situation. But, again, with, as an achievement, not necessarily we're banking on winning the division. We just need to get in the playoffs as healthy as possible, and hopefully the offense is rolling, and we'll see where the chips fall and where they may in that sense. Have to see how this team finishes, see what holes are exposed, etc. I think we kind of generally know, right? The pitching is not very as consistent as we'd like to see, even though they have really, really good supportive numbers. The hitting is very hot and cold, so it's just going to kind of depend on how we enter postseason play for this squad. But right now, in terms for the division and gaining confidence, this is the stretch to do it, right? 16 games remain entering today with teams below 500. Need to have a really, really good record. And I'm not talking like 10-6. I mean like 13-3. Like, you need to make a move here to maybe make the Brewers sweat in the division a little bit. This team can definitely do it. They're capable on both ends, especially pitching. Their pitching has been really, really good. We have Matthew Boyd going on the bump today. I think he should be able to take care of business as well. But, some of this other stuff, we're going to talk about Ian Happ's unluckiness. There's been some unluckiness with this Cubs team as well, but you can't make excuses. We need to find ways to win, and we need to start executing on that front. So, let's talk about our man Ian Happ, right? He's definitely not been the scapegoat. That's not the right word, but a point of weakness that we tend to talk about here on Cubs Daily and as a fan base, right? The numbers, the visual numbers you see, right? The below 230 average. He only has 60 RBIs. He doesn't hit many home runs. Ian Happ, obviously one of the more stable figures of this Cubs organization, You know, he hasn't produced like we like to see. But I saw a tweet today, and I wanted to share it with you guys because we just have to remember how fickle this baseball game is, right? It is not friendly. It is not for the mentally weak. You are going to have down stretches. You're going to have hot stretches, right? Ian Happ is still a good baseball player, and he's a very, very consistent left fielder. He's just been ungodly unlucky. So let's take a look at this tweet real quick because I thought it made a really good point, and hopefully some of these balls he started to hit will start bouncing his way more. So Ian Happ has 44 batted balls over 100 miles per hour for outs this year. Now, I'm not sure if that leads Major League Baseball, but that is a lot. That is a lot of, damage, right? I mean, 44 solid contacts and you fall short. So, the tweet goes on to say, even a quarter of those Fells hits, so 11 of them, right? Or, I'm sorry, maybe, let's take a look here. So he said 44 batted balls and 76 squared/hard outs. So I don't know if that's 44 plus 76, like he's hit over 110 or he's hit 120 baseballs super hard and he's just been really unlucky. But let's say 11 of them, right? Like the squared ones over 100 miles per hour landed. He would maybe have in his best season statistically he's ever had, which is crazy to think about, right? It's crazy to think about how minute and small little differences could make a glaring difference in one's whole perception of a baseball player. And, Ian Happ, he's just been unlucky. But again, we need results, right? We can't sit here and be like, when we lose, Ian was just unlucky. That's not acceptable. But we just have to remember that this is baseball. And, just because you do X, Y, and Z to a T doesn't mean this result's going to happen. All you can base it on is if I continue to hit the ball over 100 miles per hour off the bat, we will eventually find success. So hopefully Ian just keeps squaring them up, and I think eventually they will find the grass or hopefully the stands in right or left field. Ian Happ is a really good baseball player. Doesn't mean he doesn't need a break every once in a while, but we just have to remember he does hit that baseball hard. He has really been unlucky this year. So hopefully either, if that unluck continues this year, it regresses back to the norm next year, because that means he might hit 300. But either way. So the Cubs have their series finale today. I believe it is 2 o'clock-ish that they'll be going out there and finishing off the Rockies. Looking to go 6-0 against them this year. Again, this is where the Cubs need to kind of flex that they're a good team. I'm not saying they're the most dominant team in baseball. I'm not going to go that far yet. But, good teams take care of bad teams, and especially historically bad teams. So the Cubs should beat the brakes off this Rockies team, especially with our all-star pitcher, Matt Boyd, going on the bump. I don't see a reason as to why it wouldn't happen, but, it's baseball. It's a crazy game. Cubs do need to take care of business, though, because the Brewers are polishing off the Blue Jays with no problem. So if we want to keep pace at all entering the month of September, 6.5 is very doable. It's not insurmountable. It's far back, but it's not insurmountable. We need to win tomorrow. Hopefully the Brewers can catch a loss, and we can kind of get this ship righted back. Again, we're not facing a world beater by any means in this game. It's another young guy for the Rockies. They're looking to kind of develop some talent. They're not looking to necessarily win ball games. I think it's Mr. Gordon here, Tanner Gordon, right? The big right-hander. He has an above 6 ERA, but most Rockies pitchers do. So again, I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but hopefully the Cubs offense can feel better and just keep those bats going, right? Seiya had 2 hits today. You like to see that. I want to see him continue that confidence. No home run by the Cubs today, though. So I expect the ball to be leaving the yard big time tomorrow. And that's going to do it for today on Cubs Daily. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And as you ladies and gentlemen know, it's Go Cubs Go. We'll see you soon.